Good evening. How are you? Well, the temperature is about 88 and the air quality index is good, below 50. So it's a nice day to go for a walk, and as the sun hit my exposed arms, I felt for a moment like I was at a beach getting a tan, which is something with my skin that really doesn't happen. I don't, as much as I love swimming, I get out of the water and I cover up. And we haven't been at beaches or anything for obvious reasons, so most of my swimming's at a pool, and I don't have to worry about the sunlight there. So here we are, marching. I'm in a good mood. I'm usually that way, but I'm in a good mood because I'm thinking about whether we've reached a point where we're on the move. And I think we have. I think the biggest fight for citizens all along has been to keep demanding that we wanted an accounting for what Trump and his corrupt minions did. And in order to get that, we had to keep attacking. And most of that was attacking the inert Attorney General, who, in my opinion, because of his delays, should still be run out of office. I am very much encouraged by the kind of prosecutor Jack Smith has shown himself to be so far. And I only wish that somebody had figured out this formula in the first several weeks after the offense occurred. Because just like a child, an adult doesn't understand what they did was wrong, if the punishment comes so late after the fact, there's a disconnect. And there's an important interregnum between these two. And the interregnum is that as time goes on and people are not held accountable, others say, well, geez, I guess I can do that. And then they start thinking that he who would be obeyed, Mr. Trump, is in a position to take care of me if he's president again. He can pardon me. He's done that for some people. He'd probably do it for lots of people. He's a man of largesse in terms of abuse and evil, and he will, help me out. So there I am. Now, some of this obviously is I'm having a little fun, but the most important point is we turned a corner when D.A. Bragg did what he did. We turned a corner when Jack Smith has proven himself to be more like his billing than past persons who are going to investigate the corruption and wrongdoing of Trump failed. And yes, I'm thinking of Mueller in that category. Of the things that made a difference, I think it was not only us, but those on the Hill that devoted themselves in a way that few hearings on the Hill ever have. And I'm going back to Watergate. And yes, technology has changed and the things we can know have changed. But still, they devoted human power, ingenuity, and followed strict codes internally to collect and gather information. And among the bonuses were that at least two Republicans thought they couldn't live with the alternative, that is, as many Republicans did, supporting Trump. And so they supported this inquiry. My old boss, Zoe Lofgren and Raskin, and I hate to leave out anybody, Schiff, all of these people did a magnificent job. And that led to, other things creating that atmosphere. I mean, we had a woman who was wronged by Trump, and she persisted for years in her civil prosecution. And then she won. We drew blood. She drew blood. The DA in Manhattan, he drew blood. The case in Florida, even if she fixes it, and I'm serious about this, Judge Luce Cannon, we got to watch her carefully. But the case that now we expect to come from the federal government, the second case, looks like it's going to be in D.C., and it takes us back to the original crime, to the effort to overthrow our government by Trump and his corrupt, cowardly associates, from inside the White House, from on the Hill, from people in private positions, from guys like Rudy Giuliani and a whole stable of attorneys that should have known better than to do what they were doing. So that's where we stand. We stand today with a diminished role in making things right, in the sense of getting the nation off its hindquarters and out there fighting. The charges in Michigan are tremendous because they say to people, okay, you think this has been fun and easy? Game's over. We're now prosecuting you. You may go to jail, and for a long time. And you're at varying ages. So for some of you, this could be the rest of your life. Trump, if in the end Trump is convicted of almost anything, he will spend the rest of his life in jail, and should. And if we have a new objective to fight about, that's it. Treat him like the criminal he is. Convict him, sentence him fairly, and send him away. Now, how can I say that and respect his rights, the presumption of innocence? Because he's made it too easy. As a citizen, I have seen the misconduct. I have heard the misconduct. The nation is suffering the misconduct. People died because of his misconduct. Our country's image worldwide, necessary to domestic and foreign partnerships and respect, has been harmed by this man. The fear of nuclear weapons being used was in his back pocket all the time, taking material that others would be embarrassed to think to take, much less to take it, say you had it, say you imagined that you could say it was yours, and still keep it, and try to keep the government researching, searching, investigating, and finally prosecuting you at arm's length. So, there are a couple of things on my mind more precisely. Let's take the letter, the target letter that Trump got. The letter is announced by Trump. The reports have Trump says. That's not acceptable. Trump cannot be the person who defines important news like that. So would it be unusual to say you gave a target letter? It might be, but I'll tell you why it shouldn't be. Because unlike almost all defendants you've ever heard of, they don't create an outlet to raise money by the fact of their misconduct, identified in a target letter by, in the most obvious case, the special counsel. That's intolerable. Now, Trump's technique, and there's no secret about it, it is to merge the courtroom event with the political event outside the courtroom. It is to confuse the question of whether he did anything because he's a victim. And this kind of false psychology that dominates his 30% or whatever number he has, that's unacceptable to anyone who thinks clearly, and there are more of us. And it turns out there are judges that are not prepared to give up their profession, their judgment, their integrity. And that's why in New York, a federal judge said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Trump. You were properly found responsible in the Carroll case. And no, we're not going to reduce your award of $5 million. Good. It's another punch in the face. A legitimate punch in the face. One well-deserved. One that people don't give him. Instead of giggling at this man when you have the breaking news broadcast, call him out at every turn. Call out his techniques and demand that the prosecution, when they issue material to Trump, since he releases it immediately, say, if you are going to tell the public about it, then we're going to tell them first. Or just do it. Just do it. I want to say get some balls. And I don't know that Smith is weak in any of those respects, but you have to redefine this case. This case is not like other cases. Maybe it's comparable to Aaron Burr, who was a traitor to this country. Maybe. It has some of the aspects. We're being hurled backwards in time, integrity, decency, and the democracy that we're not. We are not. But we're finding our footing and we're going forward. Trump appears to be in control, like he's in some sort of S&M relationship with the prosecutor, and they can tell him, you're going to be charged. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to be charged. I'm becoming an expert on this. I didn't even know what a subpoena was. A lie. Is he called out on it? Do they list the 25 cases he's been in over the last 20 years? No. Why? Because he's amusing. He's amusing in his criminality. He's amusing in how he flaunts and disgraces the system of democracy and a republic. That's unacceptable. Now, in the category of Smith asserting himself in a way we can all be proud, was when it was charged that Biden, this was all being done for Biden because of an election that's going on. And Smith called it out. He said, no, it's not. I don't work for Biden. I handle a criminal case, and that's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be. So he backed him down. A lawyer on the right side of the question, and there is a right and wrong side in this case, particularly when you're making a political argument in a courtroom that is as false as the claims there was fraud in the election. Now, the federal court in New York, it's interesting, we're having all these good news stories because there are ethical people out there and they're not having any of this. And so the judge, the federal judge, issued a 59-page opinion that I've referred to the result already that said, hey, Trump, there's nothing wrong with that case in which you were found responsible. Also, we're not going to reduce the $5 million. And that's the end of that. So, there's one story that bothers me that doesn't sort of fit my rambling so far. And that story is how we're handling people at our borders. My grandmother on my dad's side came from Germany. I don't know if my grandfather on my mother's side came from England. He was Applegate. And my grandmother was German. And I had an uncle who married an aunt. So he's an uncle by marriage. And he was from Peru. And he came to America. And he fought for us in World War II. And that's how he got his citizenship. But almost until the day he died, the most charming accent that he had, mellifluous. And the way he danced, he was a strong man and a hard worker. He suffered discrimination in this country that says, you know, give me you're tired, has a Statue of Liberty. But he was a man's man. This didn't bother him. He's married to a wonderful woman, my aunt. My dad would kid him about his dancing because it was so excellent. That's America. And so when somebody comes to America and seeks asylum, and we push them away, refuse to give children water, and push people into the river that they try to cross to what they think is the land of milk and honey and freedom and independence, and no more hurt and criminal sufferance in Central America and South. So the Biden administration is not scoring points, in my opinion, on this. We know what the problem is, and we're not spending the money on the resources to allow us to do asylum correctly. Yes, we have trouble with water in America, but what are we doing for these people? We can't find a way to bring water there for them? How are we better than any other nation on earth that abuses individual rights and liberties. Again, lip service for kids, but we mean our kids? And who are they? Everybody in this nation, except Native Americans, came here from someplace else. Old story, but it's an important one. And we have to, when we recover our full republic and on the route to that final destination, we have to take care of people, period, no matter where they're from, no matter what their language, no matter the nature of the political sufferance they've had to undergo. And that's the only way we become safe from autocrats, dictators, and people that believe in no law and are prepared to abuse anyone in any direction that gets in the way of their selfish, personal aggrandizement. So, that's what I got to say. And it's still pretty warm out. So, we say, have a good evening from the Cathedral of Trees, and I hope to be out tomorrow. Bye-bye.